Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to this little webinar, webcast discussion here. And I have some people that are very intimately connected with the DeRose Awards on here. We're going to talk about the DeRose Hinkhouse Memorial Awards. And just first, a little background. The RCC has been doing the DeRose Hinkhouse Memorial Awards for a very long time. I should have looked up the date, but it's been before the 60s because we started it. It was the Paul Hinkhouse Memorial Awards. And then Mr. Hinkhouse was a partner with a guy named Victor DeRose in a print shop somewhere in New York. And they both had a very strong religious background. And then when Mr. Hinkhouse passed away, we started the Hinkhouse Awards. And then following that, when Mr. DeRose passed away, the awards were renamed the DeRose Hinkhouse Awards. So they've been going for a very long time, and they recognize excellence in the field of religious communication, or religion communication, I could say. And just to kind of clarify what that might mean, we talk, you'll go listen to your preacher on Sunday, and that's religious communication, direct from the, straight from the text of whatever your faith is. But then there's people that work on the borders of that promote the faith, that promote the good works of the people of faith, and spread the faith, and spread the people who are speaking the faith. And that's the religion communicators. And that's what this group is all about. We're all professionals in the field of religion communication. So I have here with me today some of the key players in the Religion Communicators Council, and we're going to talk about the DeRose Hinkhouse Memorial Awards. And the title of this is How and Why to Enter and Win the DeRose Hinkhouse Memorial Awards. And I know that here with me is Joyce Lidoff, who has done that very thing. Ryan Coe is also here. Ryan is our vice president, and he is also entered and won in the DeRose Hinkhouse Memorial Awards. So let's just have Joyce tell us a little bit. We were looking at your beautiful trophies sitting behind you. Those are best of class awards. As you learn more about the DeRose Hinkhouse Awards, you'll find that there are various classes, and then within the classes are categories, and there's a lot of awards available. But the best in class are the most coveted awards. They are trophied, like you see there with Joyce. And she has 3 of them there, and I think they have more on the counter. And Joyce, tell us a little bit about your experience entering and winning the DeRose Awards.
Sure. Well, I've entered the DeRose Awards every year since I've been engaged, which is more than 10 years I've been with the organization. And I have the great pleasure also of having coordinated the DeRose Hinkhouse Awards a number of years ago. And I think that my advice for people who want to enter would be taken from those times when I was judging the categories and coordinating. And I'd like to encourage people, first of all, you can't win an award unless you enter. So get your entries in. And it should be work that you feel good about. And not think about, how it's going to compare to something else. Because I've been surprised a number of times where I just liked a piece. And so I submitted it, and I was pleasantly surprised, not knowing what the competition was. And every year it's different. Different organizations enter in the different categories. We don't know how many entries we're going to have in any particular category. So we don't know how stringent the competition is going to be. So I would say just enter it. And we have built into our budget an amount to cover the entry fees, because the entry fees also support the organization. And that's something that we want to do. We get a lot of value out of being members, and we want to support the organization.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was 2022, you won an award. I think we got best in class for a blog series, or podcast series that you had started.
Podcast series.
And if I recall at the time, you told me you had not really been that familiar with podcasting prior to that. And were you just kind of new to podcasting that year?
Well, I have the advantage of working for a small office and for an office that supports creativity. And if we have a project, people say run with it. So this was a series of podcasts. There was a student from Northwestern who sang with the choir at the Baha'i House of Worship here in Chicago. And he applied for a scholarship to travel around the world. He was a music major and a religion major. And he applied for this grant. I think it's the Navigator Society. I don't recall exactly what the name of the organization is, who encourages young people to do a circumnavigation. And so it was a perfect fit that he went to visit a Baha'i temple in every continental region to study the music that was happening at that. So he kept a diary of his travels and kept clips of music. So it was, it was perfect to have him read his diary and to share clips of this music from all over the world. And the series won an award, and I learned a lot. I learned so much in the process of doing it and have done a number of audio stories since then.
Yeah, that's cool. I think you just listening to your description today of what you were covering, I think that's the passion that helped to win that award. I think that really is what came through on that podcast because technically it was fine. The sound quality was fine. It was just, I mean, it was just lovely. Nobody would have guessed you were new at it. And I know you had some help to make that happen, but it sounded great. But then it was to me, it was the passion came through. And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
I want to
And
ask Ryan.
I would also say, for people when they're submitting their awards, I think that I wrote a little description about that podcast of how I came to do it. And those were the kinds of things that you might not have seen in the award entry itself. And it really helps the judges to understand the background of how that piece was created.
Yeah, I agree. Ryan, what's been your experience entering into the competition?
So, at least for me, when it comes time for like the DeRose Hinkhouse, like I get to the deadline and I always think I haven't done anything that fits with any of the DeRose Hinkhouse stuff, right? Because I do a lot of verbal advocacy in my work, etc., and far fewer printed products or podcasts or whatever, although I have one for the webinars. But then I start looking back through the year and I realize that there's so many things I've done just in the course of my work that would fit with the DeRose Hinkhouse. So for example, the one that I'm going to enter this year, we had some inquiries in Africa about what some of our humanitarian aid has been. And I realized that we didn't have a one-pager that kind of explained our faith in Africa, the humanitarian aid in Africa. And so I just worked together with a little team and put together this one-pager. And so then it's like, oh, I did that in February, but it fits into the timeline and what can be done for the DeRose Hinkhouse. And so it's really all of us. I could enter this, I could enter this, I could enter this.
We have similar situation too in our office where you produce so much you don't even realize you've produced it. You guys are just putting out the work, and all of our members, I'm sure, have similar things. I know that little one-page document, and they go, okay, well, this is what they're doing here in Africa, and this is why, and whatever it took you to compile that, that's important stuff. So
Now, I think it's important for people to sit back and reflect on the work that they've done, and doing a submission like this is really beneficial. It's a timeout, particularly for people working in print. We're on to the next deadline before we actually even see the produced piece of that came before it, and this whole business is deadline driven, and so we're focused on that and not necessarily on looking backwards. And I think that it informs our future work if we really take a minute to look back and reflect and think, you know, what went right.
Yes, and that was one of the points I was going to bring up today is any PR professional or college communications student or professor will tell you some version of the public relations cycle of research, planning, implementation, evaluation. And those 4 steps are basically repeated in every text I've seen on public relations. And the one that gets brushed off the most, in my estimation, is the evaluation step. We research, we plan, we implement, and we're on to the next thing. And it sometimes doesn't seem worth like sitting down and reflecting, but entering the DeRose Awards, you do get that chance because you have to look back and one of the questions on the entry form is how did this meet your goals, or what objective did you achieve? So it's a way to help you do, like Ryan and Joyce have just said, to look back and evaluate your work. Tell me about the entry process itself. You can either talk from, both of you have judged. I think, well, I mean, Ryan, you both coordinated the event, so you've seen the judging process, but tell me about the entry process the last few years and how that's worked for you.
I can begin. It's so much easier. So when I coordinated the DeRose Hinkhouse, the first year I coordinated the DeRose Hinkhouse, it was the last year of entirely paper submissions. Or maybe it was the second to last, I don't know. But I had just bankers boxes and bankers boxes full of these submissions. And I had to find basically all local judges, which was, on the one hand, it's New York City, and so it was doable. But on the other hand, I very distinctly remember I had part of Joyce's submission, it was the periodicals. And I had this big banker's box full of periodicals that I was hauling on the subway down to downtown because I had a friend with the New York University, and just to like hand over this huge box of stuff to ask him to read through things. And so slowly but surely started implementing the electronic submissions, which Brian, when he was the coordinator, since he's been the coordinator, he's taken that and run with it so that all the judging is electronically now too. And so it makes it a lot easier to submit something because you can just do it on your computer. You don't have to go down to the post office. You don't have to do anything like that. But B, it makes it so I think you get a richer pool of judges to choose from. So that you can have judges. The first year I did it electronically, I had a judge like in Australia judging some of the works and stuff. So you kind of get this, I think a more nuanced perspective from different people, instead of it's just the people that the coordinator knows in the city that they're in, that you get more feedback and more insights that way. That's
nice. And Joyce, when you enter, there's some questions about the work. Like, who was your target audience? Did you reach them? What objectives you achieve? Is that difficult to answer those questions, or is it usually fresh in your mind? Is it written in a file? How do you come up with the data you put in those answers?
Well, actually, those kinds of questions have helped us with our content strategy. That we are a little more sophisticated than we used to be about who are we speaking to in this particular piece. So that we're doing it in the office up front at a higher level, it's a little bit easier now when I'm submitting work for an award.
Well, that's great. I think that's awesome that hopefully this competition has helped your office. That's kind of my next question is, how has it helped your team, your work, your progress?
One of the ways that it has helped us is we have some freelance writers and some young writers that we are hoping that we're raising the capacity of their skills. And some of them do it voluntarily. So we don't have compensation for these writers. So we had a writer enter last year who won an award in the best periodical magazine writing category. And she was fresh out of college, and she was so excited to get one of these awards. And it really boosted her confidence in being more professional about her work. So in that regard, it helped our office to recognize the value of some of the contributions that we get from our writers.
That's nice. How about you, Ryan?
Sorry, I was unmuting myself. One of the biggest things has been so I'm in a satellite office away from headquarters. Obviously I'm in New York and headquarters is in Salt Lake City. And one of the things that's been really nice for me, at least in terms of winning DeRose Hinkhouse stuff, is I can prove to my bosses that I'm doing good stuff out here. That it's not just, me that's thinking I'm doing good, or me that's whistling in the dark a little bit, but that there's other people that see and recognize the work that I'm doing outside of our organization. And so that has given me a bit more street cred, if you will, back at headquarters because of winning the DeRose Hinkhouse.
Yeah, I can see that. It's interesting, not just in religion communication, but in the world of, I mean, we're basically public relations, and that's how we started. That was our original name, is public relations. And in that world, the public relations departments are often overlooked or not seen with as much value, I think. If you consider what we produce, let's just take a factory. A factory produces shoes, and the public relations department of that factory produces a community that's happy with the shoe factory. And that's basically goodwill. It's an intangible. It's something you can't count as easily. I mean, you can statisticize it, but you can't just count up how many shoes and how much money are we making because we have good public relations. How much goodwill do we have? That's a tough thing to quantify. So to me, having some kind of recognition tells the big guys at the top, this is important, and this is how other people view us, and we're doing some good work here. So just like Ryan said, it kind of gives you a little bit of street cred and a little bit of like, oh yeah, we have a pretty cool communications department here. Communications departments get cut sometimes, I think, because of that intangible product that they produce. It's an area that's sometimes seen as not as necessary. We need more people on the factory floor than we do out talking to the press. But anyway, that's just some thoughts there. So how has it helped your organization? So outside of yourself personally, how has it helped your organization to in the world?
Well, I'd like to share on behalf of my colleagues at the Brilliant Star magazine. It's the Baha'i children's magazine. They have regularly won awards, DeRose Hinkhouse awards, and they use it to kind of single out what they're doing and show parents that the quality of the magazine and the quality of what they're doing. And they use it regularly. They have the DeRose Hinkhouse symbol on a lot of their publications.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to piggyback on that because I don't know how outside my organization how it's benefited me, because nobody's ever given me any feedback on that. But in terms of it's Brilliant Star, right? Brilliant Star, Bright Star, Brilliant Star.
Brilliant Star, yeah.
In terms of Brilliant Star, I actually was introducing some of the Brilliant Star staff to some of my organization's children's magazine staff, right? And so I used that as, legitimacy for Brilliant Star. So when I was talking to, it's called the Friend magazine for us. And when I was talking to the Friend magazine editors, I said, You know, not only do I think Brilliant Star is a fantastic publication because it is, but they've also been nationally recognized by the religion communicators for their work. And so that facilitated me being able to make that introduction between the two teams.
That's
And
cool.
of course, we cross promote, and this is a Brilliant Star ad, and there's the
Yes.
DeRose Hinkhouse logo right there.
Nice.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I was going to mention as well that, you know, we've been, all of us on this call right now have been members of RCC for a long time, some of us a very long time. And it's easy to be familiar with the RCC and to be familiar with the awards and to forget, I think, or to take it for granted just how much they actually mean. And, you know, I'll never forget the times when I was first new to RCC and watching these awards and had, you know, I would see some names come up over and over again. I would hear these names every, you know, I heard that name last year, I heard that name the last 2 years. And these are the stars to me. These are the people I look up to. I said, you know, they're doing important work and I want to do important work like that. So we're coming close to the end. I know we're going to end at 2:30 here. So we're coming close to that. And I'd like to ask, what would you say to someone who's, let's say they're not a member of the RCC and they're just kind of stumbled across this awards program and are considering, should I join RCC? Should I enter the DeRose Awards? What would you tell those people?
So the RCC for me is like my favorite organization of people. I come from a PR and a press background, and now I do more religious advocacy, and the RCC is like the perfect blend of both for me. And I just find that members of the RCC are really bright and intelligent and altruistic in terms of really just wanting to make the world a better place and advocate on behalf of their faith, but also work together with other partners. I really, really love associating with them. And so first of all, I would say, yes, you should definitely become a member, right? And then second of all, I would say, because you are a member, then having the DeRose Hinkhouse stamp, I guess, on your work is beneficial not only within the RCC, because like Brian was saying, the people who win are the bright stars to look at and to try to emulate. But it also lets your employer know, A, why you are so involved with the RCC, and B, that what you're doing is professionally recognized by other people.
Yeah, thank you. Joyce, what would you say?
I would say that it's simply inspiring to see the work that's submitted and to see what your colleagues are doing, and to get ideas that we're, you know, that the other thing is that we know in this organization that we're sharing. So it's not that we are in competition with one another, but we're sharing the work that we're doing.
That was
Yeah.
actually one of the things that I really appreciated about coordinating the awards was you got to see all the entries.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes we only see the top one or two, but we don't realize that the top 3, 4, and 5 are like not that much behind the top one or two. And coordinating, you got to see all the entries, and that really, like Joyce was saying, that's a really inspiring thing to be able to see.
Yeah.
And judging, you get to see the entries too. So that's my pitch for people to volunteer as judges.
Yes, and I do make sure that if you're judging, you're not judging your own work or anybody from your organization, actually. But the comment you said about sharing, to me, that's one of the most inspirational parts of the program. Just to me, it's a competition where really kind of everybody wins. I mean, a few people get the trophy, but everybody who enters, in my heart, is a winner. And it's just beautiful to see and to feel, you feel like you're not alone when you see the work others are doing and the work that they have to do because maybe they're going through some you know, situations around the world that are a struggle or whatnot, and you feel like, yeah, I'm not alone. We have struggles. We're all struggling. We, you know, people of faith struggle. There's it's just kind of the way of history, I guess, but it doesn't have to be the way of the future. And so I think that might be a good point to call this to a close. And I hope that if anybody has any questions, they can reach out through the website. You can find us through religioncommunicators.org, and you enter at rccregistration.org. Plenty of information on there, and you can find us through those websites. So thank you, Ryan, for your insight and wisdom, and Joyce for your enthusiasm and joyous presence. And Jenny, thanks for coordinating this. Good to see you on the call, Roya.
And one of these days, I'm going to have a bookshelf of best in class awards behind me too.
Yeah, I love it. We all will keep entering. Got to enter to win. And thanks so much. We'll call it to a close.
Thank you, Brian.
Bye-bye.